Okay. Welcome to the dark side of NHL 95. Hello, ladies and gents, you bunch of weirdos, geeks, and dorks. This is Ultra Magnus, your host of Dark Side of 95, the relaunch of the Dark Side of 95. This morning, in the early stages of the morning, we have pried away one of our postal workers for a Dark Side of 95 interview this morning. We have Jeelock this morning, the GM of the Saguenay Aviateurs. Morning, G.
How's it going?
How's it going yourself?
Good.
Finished the day of work?
No, it's on my long lunch break.
Lunch break? Yeah, it was funny. When Jeelock and I, before we started, he says, I'm all set. I thought he said, I don't have a ball set, which I thought was testicles, but then I was like, okay, that makes sense. So, given with what we're going on in the league and everything else that we're going through with season 5, which is shocking to think that it's been a year later.
Yeah.
But the big thing is that we want to find out is a lot of the nitty gritties of everyone's background. Maybe some of it could be dark, some of it could be whatever the hell you please. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeelock.
Okay.
It's not an interview. It's not an interview where you're like, you're going to get a job or not.
Yeah, fair enough. I already have one of those, I guess.
As long as it's not with Amazon.
No, fuck Amazon. Wait, can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, so obviously I work for the post office. I'm a private pilot. I mean, last private pilot, but working on getting current again. I play hockey in real life. Been playing for 30 some odd years, 31, 32 years. Getting back into it again in September, actually. And, yeah, that's about it. I hadn't really played a lot of 95 before getting in this league, actually. It was mostly a little bit of 94 here and there, but I hadn't played a game in ages, so I'm still a little bit green compared to a lot of the guys here. So.
Well, you're turning up the heat quite a bit. You're turning on the Jeelock afterburners.
Yeah.
So, given that you hadn't played much 95 before this, but so you can apply this question to the league. What is your worst NHL 95 story?
Honestly, you know what? This is kind of embarrassing, but honestly, I mean, as far as the league goes, because I don't really have a lot else kind of thing. Honestly, last season losing the shitty bill, really, I know a lot of people were happy about it. That one stung. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and the big thing is you got to look at it in hindsight. Is that Sean Bell did not get the first overall pick?
I'm aware of that, and I mean, I understand that's great for everybody and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I think that was the first time I allowed myself to think that I was better than I actually was, and I think I kind of sold myself to him on that one, and I think that obviously it turned out not to be the case, but I don't think anybody saw Sonoma Valley coming out of where he did.
No. And I got to give Nui a lot of props. Like, from when he started, I was just like, I don't think so. That head-to-head with Sutton, whoever was going to take over the pilot team, I was just like, he's not going to be that good that fast. And he turned it on really quick.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of experience. Me and Wolf have actually done a ton. I've actually with Sutton like a bunch and all that kind of stuff. I figured, okay, I'll get through this series, and then the next two kind of thing will be a little bit more of a toss-up, but I have enough experience to actually feel confident that I can at least get past Sutton, maybe squeak past him, and that, worst case scenario, I end up with a 1 or 2 pick kind of thing, right? Which is what obviously Sean Bell wanted and all that kind of stuff, right? So I still feel a little bit of guilt over that one. I know it's reigning champs, we shouldn't feel too bad, but
3-time reigning champs, so you shouldn't feel bad at all. So the big thing is about it, you got the consolation prize. You got Bure out of it.
Absolutely.
And from what he's already done this year, I think he's got 28 goals in 13 games.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
It's fucking ridiculous. I'm not going to say you're going to challenge Modano's 160 goal season, but you're probably going to maybe surpass 100 goals.
Man, that'd be nuts.
Yeah. So then, given on the legs of the worst story that you had, what is your favorite story of the W so far?
It's kind of a bit of a toss-up between good and bad. Is probably my one and only playoff experience where I took the first game against Kane Rafter in season 1. and obviously haven't made the playoffs since then. But after that, it was a nice clean sweep by him. Now obviously with him being gone, I don't have a chance to get back at him for that one. So
Well, you can always hang your hat on that one. Like honestly, G, like
I'll
honestly,
always
when
have that first.
well, after you beat him in that first game, I was just like, is this gonna happen? Like,
I know, that's what I was thinking too. And then like I could kind of again allow myself to think maybe I'm better than I thought.
so given based on backing up onto that, what got you into gaming at all? Whether it was retro gaming, current gaming, like anything really.
I mean, I've been playing video games like since Genesis days and all that kind of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and all that kind of stuff, right? Angel 94, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, I just kind of kept going with that. I'm a huge Halo nerd, obviously. I'm into the lore. I'm into like everything about it, basically. All the games, the storylines, and all that kind of stuff. I love those and all that kind of thing. I've been playing all the current NHLs for the last few years, and actually 22 has actually kind of sat by the wayside given this league now. So
Sorry about that.
no, it's no harm there.
So put it this way, the way I look at it, and anytime I ask this question, is that I say, you know what? The good thing is about the W, it's retro, so it doesn't cost anything.
Exactly.
As long as you got a laptop that works, you're in pretty good shape, and you don't have to worry about buying any future video games.
Exactly.
There you go. This this tends, and especially you being in the postal service, if anyone's buying video games online, they're likely not going to be getting it anytime soon.
Everybody's probably going digital these days, right? Everybody's buying off Steam and all that kind of stuff, right?
True.
So,
well, there's a positive for the environment when you think about it, that those video games don't get wasted.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a collector. Like as far as Halo games and like NHL games, I have all the discs and all that kind of stuff. Aside from the latest Halo and all that kind of stuff, I kind of just like having them, and just to have them kind of thing. So I kind of like the physical aspect a little bit more, but I guess that's kind of going by the wayside. So.
Well, at least you got something that you can hold on to.
Absolutely.
There you go. So this is a regular question, but what do you think are some of the top 3 trends in the W right now?
Top 3 trends.
That could be from like scoring styles, channels that are popular. I don't know, like any kind of like, even if it goes down to Segathon's feet, whatever it may be.
I mean, I'm always up for feet pics. So.
Okay, there you go. You're into a foot fetish then. I'm waiting for the first person in the league put their foot on a photo and there's only 4 toes.
Oh shit.
Or a 6th toe, one or the other. I'm curious to see which one will be first.
I want to see someone gaming with their feet.
Fuck, I think Segathon could pull it off.
I think he could too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. I want to see you do a video with your feet.
Do it. The world wants to see. I don't know. I mean, as far as scoring trends go, I mean, obviously, a kind of go-to of mine has become running around behind the net and letting the defenders get in the goalie's way.
Well, that tends to be a tickle puss move. So.
Yeah. I'm kind of starting to favor that one. Obviously, the 1-2s and all that kind of stuff, and I got down beat the other day by Jeelock Gopher, then I returned the favor. So the down beat I feel like is kind of on a decline. I don't have any issue with it as much as everybody else does.
I don't either. But the big thing is, like I brought it up, and everyone's gonna mention it. I do think that there's a time and a place for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't think if you're up 3-0 or 4-0 in like the third period and still doing it.
As a desperation move, you know what? If you beat me on it, and again you're desperate, shame on me for not expecting it.
Well, there you go. But I'm saying, like, if you're up 4-0 on me and you do a down B, shame on you kind of thing. It's like nothing's gonna happen to you by doing it, but
exactly.
You should still be in the back of your mind being like, no, what? That's a little shitty that I did that.
Exactly. Actually, one of my favorite times is when Dinkelberg did it to me one time in a game, and I proceeded to do it like 4 times the rest of the game.
That you pulled the Segathon.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, here we go.
Well, you know what the funny thing is, in our league the other night, I played Segathon. I got up on him 1-0, and then he scored with Fedorov from a down B from center ice. Which I was just like, that was fucking hard for me to swallow. Then he went on. We ended up tying that game. We went to overtime in that game, but he beat me. And then the next game we went on, he was up 4-1 at the start of the third. And I'm like, he tried down beam, but I put my stick in the way a few times. But the funny thing is about it is I came back and tied him
Yeah.
and then lost in overtime.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'll take the 2 points.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm desperate right now this season, so.
That's a bit of a slow start, but you started to pick it up. Like you had to go like a little bit of a slow start at the very beginning, but it seems like you kind of picked it up a little bit.
I think that the games where I kind of caught myself off guard or overestimated it, the whole thing with the Google Sheets kind of fucked me up on that weekend, and then like trying to put everything together, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna put some games in. Okay, I lost. Okay, maybe I'll play the next one and I'll win, and then I lost again. So like. Nothing taken away from you, which I think that your game is elevated. I think you're the team on the rise this year where people say the most improved player, it's you. Newey's up there. Newey caught me off guard. Elias caught me off guard as well.
Yep.
Like there's just like a lot of people said in even in the Wolf and Klein podcast, they said I lose to the teams I should be beating, and I'm beating the teams that I shouldn't be beating.
Exactly.
So it's funny. I'm like I'm a true tier 2-3 type team.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our next segment. It's called Rapid Fire. And I'm just going to throw a bunch of questions at you really quick, whatever first thing comes to mind. There is WNHL 95 ones in it.
Okay.
So it's going to catch you off guard because you're going to actually give your true answer. Because people with Rapid Fire, they do not have time to really think about it.
Yeah.
So, least favorite sport to watch.
Sorry?
Your least favorite sport to watch.
There's so many.
You can say them all.
Major one's basketball.
Okay. Guilty pleasure.
Stegathon's feet picks.
Weapon of choice.
Ooh, that's a tough one. 20mm Vulcan cannon.
Worst player in the W.
Sorry?
The worst player in the W.
Ooh, I have my moments. Shit, that's a tough one. I can't think. Cause you know what? Sorry, this is not a rapid fire one at all.
you can say undisclosed.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I honestly can't think of anyone specifically.
There you go. Deal breaker. No, that's the question. Deal breaker.
Oh, for what?
But anything, like if it's talking with a friend, relationship, anything, like what's a deal breaker?
If you start a conversation with me on via text message without feet pics.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. So the next one would be, what do you collect? Which you kind of touched on before.
Yeah, video games and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of started dabbling in hockey cards again and all that kind of stuff. I just picked up a Nick Euler's rookie card, Young Guns there, and all that kind of stuff off eBay. Not a whole lot else, really.
Okay. What would be your superpower?
Obviously flying.
Okay. Do you have a bizarre talent?
I don't think so. It's all pretty standard stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Some people think that they have a bizarre talent and they like to.
I started teaching myself how to play hockey right-handed, even though I shoot left. So
well, that's a bizarre talent. You're trying to be ambidextrous.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you have any nicknames?
My friends call me. Most of my friends call me Goose because they thought it was funny because my buddies used to get drunk and all that kind of stuff, and then they called me Goose once, and I was like, yeah, Goose isn't a pilot. And so, because he's a Rio, right? He's a backseater and all that kind of stuff. So they just started calling me that all the time. They thought it was funny that and because he dies. So they thought that was hilarious.
What is the W's coolest logo?
You know what? Honestly, other than new ones, I gotta say I'm really digging Rome's.
Yeah, likewise. I'm in that same boat.
Yeah.
I liked Miami's last year with the iguanas.
Yeah, so did I.
But that's
he goes to me too many times. I can't give him credit for anything.
Yeah, there you go. What is your spirit animal?
Probably an eagle.
Okay. What makes you laugh no matter what?
Steve Brule. She doesn't have a bomber jacket.
Yeah, Dengus. I would have to say mine is seeing kids get hurt, or people get hurt.
having a kid, I can't really say that one, but sometimes it is funny.
Well, yeah, but or people getting hurt, something like that.
Fair enough.
Jets or planes?
Can I say that one? What's that?
Jets or planes?
I mean, jets are planes.
Yes, but fighter jets, and then there's like Airbus 737s.
Oh, fuck airliners. I can't do that shit.
That's why I said planes.
Straight level's not my jam.
Okay, fair enough. You only need one seat. You don't need multiple people sitting there with you.
Exactly.
There you
I don't
go.
mind having a second one for passenger. Take along and all that kind of stuff. It's fun to share with somebody, but
Something from the 80s that needs to come back.
Oh, I mean, I was born in '84, so I kind of missed a lot of that.
Yeah, but when you grew up in the 90s, some of that 80s shit was still lingering around.
Yeah. I mean, before this year, I would have said Top Gun movies, but
It's come back.
Yep. Shit, I don't even know. Oh, hair metal bands.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Favorite beer?
Moosehead.
Okay.
Easy.
Your worst skill in life and in 95.
Worst skill?
Yeah.
Like, thing I'm the worst at?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck golf. So I hate that sport. It's one of my terrible sports. And my dad would always ask me if I want to go golfing with him, and I used to try, and I absolutely despise it, despite me trying. So I go with that. Honestly, I think worst skill in NHL is probably. I think my manual goalie has gotten a little bit better, but I think I still tend to overreact a little bit.
I'm at same boat.
And breakaways. I've gotten better though. I think the player does kind of help, like having a star player kind of thing. I think Burry's helped out in breakaways a lot.
Definitely. Favorite band?
Ooh, I gotta go with Thrace.
Okay, good. Bucket list trip?
Ooh.
It could be with your family or alone.
Oh yeah. Honestly, well, I mean, me and my wife are gonna eventually head out to Italy one year. She's been there before. My family's Italian, so yeah, I'll go with Italy. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite video game other than 95? I think you've already touched on this.
Any of the Halos, really, honestly.
There you go. Who in the W would be in real life president, mayor, or a coach?
I mean, you should be running a country right now with the work you do, so easy question.
But who would be mayor?
Ooh, probably Saguenay. He's the godfather of 95.
And a coach.
Coach. You know what? I can see Sutton being a coach.
Yeah, I can actually agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I mean, Tickle Plus. I think he actually is one too. So I guess it's a tie between them two. I think really.
And you know what the funny thing is that I would rather see kind of like say Ticklepuss as president and Nipples as mayor, because then Ticklepuss could shit on Nips.
Do you really want two yinzers running a country though?
Well, fuck, it's already happening in the States, isn't it?
Fair enough.
If you found a genie lamp and had 3 wishes, what would they be?
To get better at 95. And probably have an aerobatic jet pop up in my backyard or in a hangar for me at the airport.
Okay.
And probably, honestly, as far as money goes, I don't really need a whole lot. Just enough for me to afford to fly whenever I want and have my family set up. And that's about it, really.
There you go.
I don't have a lot of wants and needs and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of the things I like are just tend to be expensive.
There you go. So 2 left. Favorite movie and TV show? I
just saw Top Gun 2 yesterday, and honestly, I think I gotta go with that one. It was fantastic. I mean, it was definitely the Tom Cruise show, but it was actually really good. It blew my mind. Some of the newer aircraft. I mean, I have a hard on for Hornets, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, they're Super Hornets, not Legacy Hornets like we have here in Canada, but still, I mean, they are just badass.
That's good. And your TV show?
Probably Black Sheep Squadron, or Black Sheep, whatever you want to call it. It was basically back in the 60s, 70s kind of thing around there.
Okay.
And it was about the Pacific Theater kind of thing. It was the Black Sheep Squadron, like around by Happy Boynton. Robert Conrad was in it, and it was basically a band of misfits kind of thing. Flew with the Flying Tigers and all that kind of stuff, and then flew to the Pacific Theater after that. And basically it was just kind of their exploits, but it was all fantasy. Like, it was all fiction, right, and all that kind of stuff. But it was based on a real life squadron.
Well, cool. Like for me, like right now, like the 2 shows I watch a lot is Peep Show.
Okay.
and Red Dwarf.
Okay, I don't think I've heard of either of them.
So they're both British TV shows. Peep shows basically from a first person.
Okay.
So basically, it's like you see the person in front of you, but it's like they're basically it's like VR in a way, which is kind of funny. And then there's Red Dwarf. Basically, is a British TV show based on a person who was put into stasis, and 2 million years later, he's taken out of stasis because the radiation levels have depleted, and his roommate's a hologram, and his cat that he had in stasis with him has evolved into humanoid.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
And then they find this what's it called? They find this robot on a derelict ship, and they just travel around the planets, travel around space on like adventures.
That's kind of cool.
It's kind of funny. So,
Yeah.
and the last one, this is gonna be a tricky one, or
right.
I don't know, Bure or Juno.
Ooh, you're really gonna do this to me, eh?
Yep.
You know what? Bury's nothing without you. I gotta go with Missy.
Well, not only that, you've had him for all 5 seasons. You've had him for all.
I mean, he's the only player on the team besides Kudrow, and I have no trade clause, so.
Well, because that's good. Like for me, it's like Saguenay. Like Saguenay's not ever going anywhere. But
Yeah, exactly.
like I think even for myself, like I think I've found like the mixture that I really want.
Yep.
And I struggled having Forsberg at center, but I think I found his place on the right wing.
Yeah.
And Francis at center.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, depending on your style, right? I mean, like, you don't always want, I mean, I've kind of found anyways. I mean, I'm far from the expert here. I don't think you always want your strongest player at center, depending on your style. Right? If you're more kind of one of the come from the wings guys and all that kind of stuff, you want one of your stronger players on the wing, right? So.
Yeah, well, that's why I have Saguenay on the wing.
Yeah.
People keep saying put him at center, but I'm not good at breakaways.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it, right?
So, but either way. So that concludes rapid fire. So the next segment we have is called Ask What You Want. So basically is you could ask me whatever you want or a topic of discussion that you would want to like talk about.
Ooh. All right.
You can talk about planes if you want.
I don't want to bore everybody. Have you seen the new Top Gun movie?
No, and I won't see it.
Why not?
It's really tricky for me to even consider watching a remake of any kind of movie.
It's not a remake.
I know it's not a remake,
All right.
but it's when you kind of like a restart or a relaunch, whatever you want to call it, or a sequel or a prequel or a fucking destined story, whatever you want to call it. But when you look at like movies like say Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and people say, "Oh, the one with Johnny Depp's the best," I'm like, "You're a fucking retard."
Yeah, I'll second that one.
Then you also got the one with Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then you have the other ones following, especially the relaunch one that they did was horrible. And then you have like say Jaws. You're like, okay, there's 7 more Jaws. It's almost like Free Willy. How many times can that fucking whale get stuck? You're like, but he always seems to be able to get himself out of a situation.
Exactly.
I just do not like when they redo movies from the 80s. Total Recall's another one. Like, stop doing. It's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with movies. Stop touching something that was made perfectly at the time and it's meant for that time. Come up with your own fucking thought process.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, I came up with the W. Yeah, it's basically people could say, well, you took NHL 95 and did this. But I'm like, well, not many people are doing like.
Forward, like it's like like there's so much more to it. The only thing 95 about it anymore is just the gameplay.
Pretty much.
I mean, the rosters are all like working up to like current and all that kind of stuff. All the team logos and all that kind of stuff. All the team colors, they're all freaking custom, which is one of the honestly the biggest draws for me. I'm kind of a nerd that way, right? I'm kind of like a visual nerd, right? A lot of people here do with like numbers and words and all that kind of stuff. I'm more of a visual guy, right? I like graphics and all that kind of stuff, right? And seeing like how like the level of customization in this thing is just fantastic.
Well, the funny thing is that you're the only team in the league that's changed the center ice every season.
I know, and I keep thinking that I might be done, but I already have another one in mind for next season. So.
Well, the funny thing is that I'm actually gonna do for season 10 is gonna be our reverse retros.
Ooh, okay, cool.
And it's gonna be like basically. So the thing is, Moses came up with this, which was actually a really cool idea. Is that for the lockout season, what could we do? Is that we rank everybody out of 100, or everybody has themselves made as a player. or
Okay.
but you only get the character values of that player's attributes when you create them in the game. You're
Gotcha.
not allowed to have like 99.
Yeah, that's cool.
So then there's also the other thing I was thinking of is that we have our all-time teams.
Okay.
So it's basically a player that's played at least 50 games or one full season
Okay.
with your team, and you build your roster based on your history of your team.
Ooh, crazy.
So
Like double up players, like if the guys gotten traded.
oh yeah. If they played
wow.
if they've played at least 50 games or a full season with your team at one point, they're allowed to be a part of your all-time team.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
So I was thinking that might be a cool thing to do for the lockout season since there's no
Yeah.
players, but you could still have a season. But the thing is, it would be a shortened season. It would basically
Yeah.
be like, say, 30 games or 20 games, something like that, just to play around with. And then we can go to the 06 season kind of thing.
Nice.
Which will be a hot mess, but there's going to be no standings and whoever wins the Bruley and stuff like that. It's not going to be anything like that. It's whatever ends. Yeah, so whatever happens in the 04 season,
Yep.
that will be the draft order for the 06 season.
Got it. Yes, it's not gonna have any relevance to or like.
No, because the thing, because the big thing is, I think about it is that it's going to make a lot of sense because 06 is Crosby Ovechkin.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, yeah, you finish that and now they can get your chops all licky. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but so that's kind of like where I'm thinking of with it. But yeah, I just find that like people that want to remake everything is fucking stupid.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I already have 3 other Dark Side 95s lined up this week.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have Nips on one. I'm gonna have Halifax.
Nice.
And I think there's another one. I'm probably gonna get Segathon at some point this week, I think, but who knows?
Yeah.
But other than that, what other things have you wanted to ask me about anything in the league or stuff that I do?
How is the coffin business?
It's a dying industry.
Ooh.
You can earn yourself some money. It's out there, put it that way. When you first think about it, it's not something that you'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go work for a funeral industry. You're
Exactly. Yeah.
like I used to sell office supplies. They used to call me Dunder Mifflin
Oh my god.
because I sold office supplies for 5 years.
I mean, now you kind of do too, right?
Coffin supplies.
Exactly.
But it's funny. It's not the kind of thing that you go seek after. It's kind of something that comes after you, which basically the Grim Reaper waits for nobody.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but there's only there's 2 guarantees. Well, actually more like 3 guarantees in life. There's death, taxes, and W.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
So, but yeah, it's not an industry that not many people would expect.
Yeah.
But it's lucrative in its own means, I'd say.
Yep.
But it's got its perks, it's got its downs, it's got it's got its stress levels. And the funny thing is everybody in the league's always just like, oh, could you do this? Could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? And I'm like, well, I got my job as well. And when things go silent for like 4 hours, people are like, where's Magnus? What's going on?
Yep.
I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, I got my life to live too.
Yeah, the real life thing that goes on behind the scenes, right?
Well, and that's what everybody busts my balls about is they're saying, hey, why do you play so many games so quick? So that I can have a break doing my shit later on.
Yep.
So I take advantage of it when I can.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I honestly that.
What got you into the postal service?
Honestly, I mean, my dad says he had, like, my parents say they have nothing to do with it kind of thing, but they both worked there. And so I applied when I was like 23, I think, or something like that. And like they outsourced their hiring and all that kind of stuff to make sure there's no nepotism and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure how much I buy it kind of thing. You know, I might see a last name kind of thing and decide to go with it. But yeah, so I was a letter carrier for 12 years, and I moved inside to break people's shit for a living.
Now it explains why I got that package of porcelain dolls that were all broken.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I glued them back together. They look a little bit bionic now, but whatever.
There you go. Futuristic Russian dolls.
Exactly. So the last question I'm going to have is more directed towards you. What do you think your possible outcome is for this season, given what you've already done?
Well, I know I know the Highland guys predicted that I'd be in a shitty bill again this season, but I don't think Pavel's going to be okay with that. So,
Pavel has a long history of playoff success.
I know, and I mean, I'm seeing regular season success with him so far. Granted, like Sean Bell said in Hockey News there, I haven't really played a lot of the top tier guys yet or anything like that, but I'm curious to see what he can do against them. So.
You know what? When it comes down to it, G, when it really comes down to it, you make hay while the sun shines, regardless of who it's against. I folied my opportunity, and you're taking advantage of yours. So even put it this way, say, because what are you right now? 8-3-2.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So 8-3-2. Just say you're 16-7-5 before you start playing the big guys, and say you split those games the rest of the way.
Yeah.
You still would probably end up with over 30 wins.
Yeah, and I will say this too, and I'm kind of falling in the same trap there that I did when I sold myself to Sean Bell. I don't think there's any way that I'm not making at least the Brule this year. Not the championship, the playoffs.
No, like you don't want to do the play-in. You're like,
no play-in. No,
yeah. Past that. I honestly think that's my only. That's my.
And that might seem sorry.
I was gonna say that's the only hope I have of getting into the Brule this year. I feel.
Yeah.
Is by the.
I mean, it's still early for you though, so I would, I mean, I know you got more games than anybody else, but at the same time, it's, I mean, hell, I can go on a shitty streak. Anybody can go on a shitty streak, right? So.
Well, and the big thing is for me right now is that with my season the way it's going is that the games I have left.
Yeah.
I've already played Bell. I've played Saguenay. I've played Richfield.
You've got a lot of big names out of the way.
I've played Nips. I've played Puss.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I split with Nips, but both of the games went to overtime. I beat him in overtime once, and he beat me. Puss, I beat him once, he beat me once. Yep. Saguenay beat me both times in overtime. Bell beat me both games, but one in overtime.
Yes, he stole a lot of points there from some top names. So.
Yeah, Richfield, he beat me in the first game, and then I destroyed him in the second game. 19-3 in shots, and I out body checked him 37-12.
Pure primo.
Oh yeah, I fucked him up. But then after that, a lot of my games are divisional. I got Unholy, I got Sunnyvale, and I got Taipei.
Yeah.
And then I got the other conference side as well. So I got Gaelic Gopher, I got Lloyd, Moses, and who's the other one in that? Sumter.
Okay, yeah.
Those are mostly what I have left.
Yeah.
So for myself, the only big names I got left on my docket are Colin and LHX.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think me and the LHX have had our discussions. He thinks that I have his number right now, but I'm like, in the W, I don't.
Sure, yeah.
And then Colin, I believe every time I think I say I figured him out, he fucks me up.
Yeah.
So
he's not always tough to predict because he's so quiet. He's not one of the more active guys in the Discord and all that kinds of. You can't get a read on him.
No, you can't. Like, it's just weird. And I think for you right now, like, I honestly think that your route right now will be the play-in because to be a top 6 is going to be probably tricky. But I think you'll probably be 7 or 8.
Okay.
But you'll be hosting the play-in.
Interesting.
But the thing is that I don't think it's a bad thing to be in the play-in because it gives two teams that were not supposed to be in the playoffs an opportunity to still get in the playoffs.
Exactly, and I mean, it's always a chance for somebody playing to draw a better opponent too. If if one of the other teams gets knocked, no, that how it works. I don't know.
So the play-in basically that happens is if you're 7, you play 10, and 8 plays 9.
Got it. Yeah.
If you beat 10, you play number 1.
Okay, yeah.
And 8 and 9 play number 2.
Got it, okay.
And whoever loses from that game has become the top 1 and 2 seeds in the shitty bill.
Got it.
So
if you're 8 or 9, basically, you basically draw a better opponent kind of thing, like in the sense of you play 2 instead of like 8 playing 1 kind of thing.
Yeah. So basically, the only reason why I say people say, oh, you should just like reseed the people. I'm like, no, because 7 or 10, say 10 wins over 7. They would be the lowest seed regardless.
Yeah.
And then 7 people are like, well, 7 should play against number 2 then. I'm like, yeah, but 8 and 9 are lower than 7.
Exactly, yeah.
So there is a little tricky thing. And then this year, since we're 34 teams, it's a little bit trickier to have a play-in for the shitty bill. But the 2 lowest teams in the league will have a play-in to get into the shitty bill.
Got it.
So... But I do have some of the things I posted yesterday, like some changes that will be coming. And this is not like, oh, maybe, I'm not sure. No, these will be happening. So penalties will be removed by half.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense because it doesn't slow down the game as much, and I think that if we increase the games in the season, people will be more likely to be receptive to it, knowing that they're like, hey, instead of playing 2 games in 20 minutes, you could play maybe three.
Yeah.
So it kind of like helps with time.
Yep.
Sutton and I have been playing with the idea of potentially realigning the divisions,
Okay.
but not in like the way people think it's going to be. Like, oh no, we're gonna have like two divisions and that's all. Like you have the top 16 and then you have the low 16.
Yeah.
He's floated that idea, which I'm not really on board with yet because it becomes
Yeah.
very difficult to schedule games.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking that maybe it does have some play into it where you actually have what is it? You have 3 tiers or 4 tiers, but you would
Yep.
have 8 teams in each tier.
Okay.
And then your relegation and promotion would be 2 teams.
Yeah.
So that gives teams that are in the lower division, so tier 4 would have 10 teams in it.
Yeah.
But it would basically take all your divisions that you have now and combine the tiers.
That's pretty cool.
So the thing is that all the teams from, well, I really don't know how I would do it, but I have it in my mind that it would take some thinking about how the playoffs would work.
Yep.
But basically, it would become tier 1 would have 6 teams automatically.
Yep.
The top 2 teams from tier 2 and the bottom from tier 1 would do the play-ins.
Yep.
And then everybody else, basically, you're playing in the shitty bill.
Gotcha.
So basically, it's kind of thinking it through in that kind of way, but I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Uh,
Honestly, with everything you've done in the past, I will literally. I mean, same way as Tickle Plus. Like, I'll play anything. Like, this is just so cool to be part of. Honestly.
Well, I never really thought about it being something more than just playing a couple games online.
Yeah, but it's evolved to so much more than that.
To be honest, Jeelock, from the beginning of the league when I was manually entering box scores,
Yeah.
then you had King Raph come along and create the extractor, which
Yep.
I found was like groundbreaking, and then
Yep.
then Tickness came out of fucking the woodworks and created a Python coded one, which
Yep.
takes literally seconds to create. Like I can do like 500 box scores or 500 games of data entry in like 10 seconds.
That's awesome.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
And then now with the mods, it's getting along a little bit more. And then I think it's honestly the community is not made by me. I put like the infrastructure maybe in, but
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
else has kind of made it evolve.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, like I think the team channels are pretty fun for everybody because it's their own little thing that they can do.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Ticklepuss, Sean Bell, Wolf and Klein, yourself even. Who else? Like those are the main ones that come to mind. LHX is another one.
Yeah.
Even some of the new guys like Nui, Elias,
Yeah.
Nate, because they're a part of the committees, and Derek
Yeah.
Sutton. So like everyone's kind of got their own stick in the league or their own like
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun on that point of view.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So, but other than that, that's all for our segment today with Jeelock, the GM of the Saguenay Aviateurs.
You?
Any sign off, G?
No, not really. I guess keep the blue side up.
I wouldn't have said blue side up. I said Bruley all the way.
Okay. I mean, I don't get ahead of myself. I mean, honestly, I might have already jinxed myself too.
No, you're not gonna have a G-Lock collapse.
I hope not.
No, I think your Jets have been upgraded by Bure, so I think you're pretty
Oh, for 10 times.
good. All right, G. Thanks everybody, and keep playing your goddamn games.
All right.
All right.
Take it easy, go Jets, go.